Namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving a big and beautiful shout out on this Transformation Q&A Thursday, where we come together, we ask our questions that even Google can't give us the answers to, and we do our very best to provide you with insights into energy healing, meditation, and practical spirituality. But before we begin, let's invoke. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Be aware of the love in your heart. Smile at your big, beautiful heart. The heart is the secret. The secret is in the heart. The wisdom is in the heart. Feel it expanding. So much love, peace, and be aware of your crown. Be aware of the expansion of the crown. And be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Chogo Koksui, to his teacher, Lord Bodhisattva Meiling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, the remover of any and all internal and external obstacles in our path, to Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and intelligence, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to the angels of wisdom, to the angels of honesty towards oneself and others, to the angels of accurate perception and correct expression. To our divine selves, our higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your deep awareness, understanding, and inner transformation to become greater instruments of goodwill and the will to do good. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all. With gratitude, respect, and love, we thank you in full faith. So be it. Thank you. All right. Whew. That is powerful, interesting, magnificent energies coming down. So welcome everyone to another Transformation Q&A Thursday, number 8. God, it feels like just last week we were at number 7. So we have our questions together right here on my trusty iPhone that we send out to the Thinkific group and the Facebook group. Anyone that has questions, as I said earlier, you just put it over in the comment section, or questions in addition to the question. So as we're answering questions or giving understanding, you can add to it and I'll see it off to the side over here. So the first question, a favorite of mine for sure, is what are the 7 rays of creation and what are they for? What are the 7 rays of creation and what are they for? So many, many years ago, there was a book that you can get on Google for free because it's in public domain called Tapestry of the Gods. And in that book, it's about 1,200 pages long and it covers the 7 rays in great, great detail. So what are the 7 rays? It's called the 7 rays of creation because when we incarnate, when we have a separation point from God into our individuality, that's known as the divine spark. So the divine spark has its own ray of energy that passes through it. And I'm being extraordinarily simple in my explanation, but the more complicated we make it, the more difficult it's going to be for everyone. So then from the divine spark pours a portion of itself down, which creates the higher soul. And then the higher soul pours a portion of itself down into the incarnated soul, which makes up our mental body, where we have our thoughts, right? Our emotional body, where we have our feelings, our etheric body, which makes up our physical body, right? So that's the incarnated soul. So each divine spark, higher soul, incarnated soul, and the different bodies have their own rays of energy. So the energy of God, pure white light, quote unquote, right? And if you take a white light and pass it through a prism, what does it break up into? The different lights, right? 7 different lights. And what are the primary lights? Red, what is it? Red, blue, and green are the primary colors. So from the spiritual perspective, the primary colors The primary rays are will, which is ray 1, love and wisdom, which is ray 2, and active intelligence, which is ray 3. So those are the primary rays. Then you have ray 4, which is called the ray of harmony through conflict, which harmonizes conflicting factors or conflicting rays. And as Grandmaster Chogo Koksui says, a fourth ray soul is very rare at this point in humanity. Because how many people do we know that can take people that have opposing viewpoints, political viewpoints, economic viewpoints, sexual viewpoints, religious viewpoints? How many people do we know can take opposing viewpoints, see both sides and more, come together to find a workable solution for both parties? How many people can do that? Not very many. So that is called a fourth ray soul or fourth ray person. It's very, very difficult. Then you have ray 5, which is the ray of the scientist. The ray of the scientist. That is the person that deals with details. And we'll get a little bit more into the rays. Then you have ray 6, the ray of devotion. And then you have ray 7, which is the ray of magic, protocol, or ritual. Okay. So if you want to understand, and if you want to understand yourself, understand your rays, understand the rays, and understand your rays. If you want to understand other people, study the rays. If you want to understand businesses, study the rays. Any successful business has all 7 rays built into it, but definitely the first 3 rays. The first 3 rays. So the CEO would be ray 1, the ray of power, the pioneer, the one who starts the business, right? Ray 2 is the love aspect, would be the how do I put this? The benefits of the company, the product and service, the customer service aspect. And then ray 3 would be commerce, management, managing the money, managing the numbers. That's called active intelligence. So in order for a company to thrive, it needs to have a minimum of those 3 rays. But for a company to succeed long-term, have to have all 7 rays, right? So R&D, research and development, would be what? Ray 5. The scientist, the person who's the super duper number cruncher. Ray 6 would be the number one fans in one level of truth, right? The people who are hyper devotional to the person, the company, the cause, the charity, right? For better or for worse. And every ray has a plus and a negative, right? A plus and a negative. So for instance, my ray, I'm a very strong ray 3. Ray 3. So that means I'm very good with active intelligence. Active intelligence is different than sterile intelligence. Active intelligence is, how do I solve this problem in the shortest period of time using the least amount of resources? That's what intelligence is, right? Achieving your target, least amount of resources, shortest period of time possible, right? So that's the positive aspect of ray 3. What's the negative aspect of ray 3? You're always scheming. You're always trying to figure out, maybe I can get a little bit more resources. Maybe I can get a little bit more energy, a little bit more time from this deal. The term that my dad would use is nickeling and diming somebody to death. So what do I have to work on? I have to work on eliminating that part from my ray and my personality. And then I also have to awaken the love aspect when it comes to those things. So I have to be generous. I have to give people more value than what they pay for in order to balance out my rays. So can somebody tell you what your rays are? In general, no. Well, let me rephrase that. Specifically, no. In general, yes, you can get a flavor, a viewpoint. But in order to really know your rays, it has to, a very, very high level clairvoyant has to be able to see certain energies within your auras and within your different bodies. And that takes a very high level clairvoyant, like 1 out of 10 million plus kind of people, right? So the person who helped Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui develop pranic healing and Arhatic Yoga, Meng Mike, he was one of such clairvoyants. As I understand it, from the masters in pranic healing, since Meng Mike left his body, they have not been able to find somebody as competent and capable of seeing to that level and degree of accuracy. So we just kind of got to we have to practice self-understanding, right? Know thyself. Go, okay, what are the 7 rays and what are my tendencies? Which means you have to practice what? Self-honesty. Very difficult virtue to master, because we're like, I want to be ray 1, but if you look at the person's life and mannerisms, strengths and weaknesses, you're like, no, you're a ray 2. So 20%, hold on. About 15% of the world is ray 1. So people that are powerful, people that are influential for better or for worse, right? Because you can be a strong ray 1 person who is a pioneer in hurting people, destroying the environment, destroying companies, right? Because it's also a destructive ray. That's the negative aspect of ray 1 energy, right? It's called creative destruction. Lord Shiva, ray 1 energy. Destroy and start over. That's the problem with ray 1. So for instance, Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, modern founder of Pranic Healing or Arhatic Yoga, ray 1 teacher, ray of power, right? Then one of the master pranic healers, Master Ko, is ray 1 as well. Interestingly enough, whenever he was teaching class, he was able to gather 100 people or more for an introduction. Hey guys, Monday night, Tuesday night, we're doing an introduction to pranic healing. What is pranic healing and how can it benefit your life? 100 people would show up and very few people would register for the classes. Very few people would go to the next level. So Master Ko puts in a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice. And he goes, where's everyone going? So he talks to Master Choa and he says, Master, what's happening? All these people are coming, but very few people are coming back, or very few people are signing up for the classes. And Master's looking at the energy. He's asking a few questions to get understanding. And then he says, the love aspect is missing. He goes, you have to activate your heart. Because what does ray 2 energy do? Love and wisdom. It draws people in. It pulls people in. It keeps people coming back. It keeps people coming back. That's why people plug into a certain cause, group, charity, organization, business, right? Do you recognize that one of the major factors that keep people coming back again and again and again to a company and keep saying it's the best in this and the best in that is because of the love aspect, because of recognition. Yes, they get pay raises, which is a function of love, right? So that makes up most of the world's population. Most of the human souls on this planet are ray 2 people. So those are the healers. Those are the people that give, and give. Because, as I understand it, if the majority of the world were ray 1, which is the ray of power, which is the ray of competition, which is the ray of get anything and everything at all costs, right? What would happen to the planet? It'd be destroyed. Exactly. Explosion, nuclear war, power, right? Because that's the negative aspect of that ray. Then you have ray 3, active intelligence, thinking. It's the ray of commerce. It's the ray of commerce. Very important. So people that are good with money, people that save money, have strong ray 3. People that are not good with money, that waste money, that don't know where the money went, weak ray 3 people. Okay? Ray 4, those are the people that are harmonizing. So judges harmonize conflicting factors. Mediators harmonize conflicting factors. Beth says, how do you determine your ray? Yes. So if you go to Prana World and look for what is your ray test? So pranaworld.net is the website, pranaworld.net, and then look for what is your ray. In that, you will take a test. My recommendation is take the test, choosing your number one choice. And then it will tell you at the end what ray you most likely are. Then take the test again, choosing your second choice, and then see what ray it is. I did it, and I was ray 3 both times. And it's obvious to me. I'm a healer, but I'm always calculating. I'm always analyzing. I'm always trying to see how can I add value for appropriate compensation? And then I have to bring in the ray 2 energy of how can I add more value than I'm being compensated to generate good karma and to do the right thing and to have the love aspect. So the love aspect is what keeps people coming back. It's the glue of a family. It's the glue of a relationship. It's the glue of an organization. It's the glue of a nonprofit, whatever. But what's the downside? Being wasteful. That's the downside. Being wasteful, being taken advantage of, not practicing discernment, not looking at the numbers. Right? So you have ray 4, harmony through conflict, bringing people together. Also, the ray 1, ray 2, ray 3 are the macro. Ray 5, ray 6, and ray 7 are the micro of those macros. So ray 5, the ray of the scientist of research, is connected to, is the micro of ray 3. Ray 3 is the will, and I'm not going to go into all of this because it's an entire class, but the Ajna chakra deals with ray, depends on what level of truth you're looking at, but in general, the Ajna chakra, the major, big picture, is ray 3, understanding. The ray of the scientist, ray 5, is the lower aspect of truth to that. Details. Big picture, details. Understanding and knowledge. So you acquire knowledge through college, through working with a teacher, whomever, wherever, whatever. And then your Ajna chakra understands the knowledge. What most people do is they never understand what they're studying. How many people went to a 4-year degree and walk out and don't remember anything that they did in that 4-year degree? Exactly. There you go. So you acquired what? Knowledge, test, paper, essay, multiple choice. And then nothing. Lack of this. Lack of ajna. So ray 3 is ajna, the major. The minor energy is ray 5, the ray of the scientist. Make sense? And then you have ray 6, which is the ray of devotion. Devotion to a cause. I will give my time, my money, my energy, my life for this person, this cause, this charity, this mission. That's a ray 6 energy. That's a ray 6 person. What's the downside? Fanaticism. Willing to kill yourself or to, kill other people because of a cause. That's the downside of ray 6 energy. And then ray 7 is the ray of ritual, the ray of magic, the ray of protocol. By the way, pranic healing is all 7 rays. Pranic healing is all 7 rays. So when you go into a pranic healing book and open it up, what do you see? A protocol for migraine headache. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Step 4, do this. It's a protocol. It's in a recipe. That's ray 7 energy. That's how you're able to produce consistent, persistent results in a company that's called Standard Operating Procedures. That's ray 7 energy. Every franchise on the planet is extremely successful because they do what? Stick to the standard operating procedures. When you deviate, what happens? money's being wasted, resources are being wasted, time is being wasted. The system becomes inefficient. So if you want to make a system, if you want to create a system, ray 7 energy, and you want to make it efficient, ray 7 energy. So remember we talked about ray 2, love and wisdom, ray 6. So the major, right? Major part, right, is heart, and then solar plexus and heart. Actually, again, there's levels of truth to this. But you have the macro, which is the ray 3, love and wisdom, and the micro of ray 3 is ray 6, devotion. So it's focused love. So a ray 3 person is a general, loves generally. I love everybody, right? A ray 6 person focuses that love to something or to someone. Okay? So that's a quick, super quick discussion on the rays. There's much more that can be covered. Woo! Next question. If you wear a shawl, do you need to wear it over your head, over your shoulders, or can you just lay it across your lap? So it depends. See, there's no hard and fast rules. It depends. Do you want the best effect, average effect, or minimal effect? So it's in that order. Over your head is best. Over your shoulders is second best. Across your lap, third best. And I would not do it across your lap anyways, because it's going to be activating your sex chakra. And you have a meditation shawl. You want it to be either made out of cotton or pashmina, which is a combination of silk and cotton. You don't want to have an all silk shawl unless you're a teacher or you're using it for psychic protection. So either cotton or pashmina, preferably pashmina, for meditation. And then you place it over your head completely and over your shoulders when you meditate. And then you wash it in salt water for 5 minutes once a month. Why do you wash it? Christian, I'm using it to meditate. I'm not using it to mow the lawn. Because as you're meditating, yes, you're bringing down divine energies, divine peace and divine bliss, right? But at the same time, you're doing what? You're purging. You're releasing disease congested energies in the different bodies that the shawl is absorbing. So you have to wash it. So you put it in salt water for 5 minutes, squeeze it out, wring it out, and then just hang it out to dry. And just do that once a month. That's it. Easy peasy. Next question. What Sanskrit words do you need to know for pH, pranic healing, and what are their English meanings? I don't have them in front of me. That's a very good question. What Sanskrit words? It's a very interesting conversation. So Sanskrit is known as a dead language, but it's not a dead language for yogis. So you have ancient Hebrew, ancient Latin, Sanskrit, certain forms of Celtic or Gaelic would be considered dead languages because no one speaks them. But for the yogis, we speak it. We speak Sanskrit. Now, with any mantra, because most of the mantras that we are taught, at least in pranic healing, are Sanskrit mantras, are ancient mantras that are at least 5,000 plus years old. And what they do is a mantra is a seed of power. It's a seed to access certain kinds of energy. So if you want to access love, the energy of love, there are certain mantras. If you want to access the energy of power or will, there are certain mantras. You're starting to see the connection to the rays. If you want to access certain types of intelligence, there are mantras for that. There are mantras for, I want to say, almost anything that you can imagine. And the effect of a mantra changes when you silently chant it, whisper it, or verbally chant it, the 3 different ways. So it changes, it does certain things. Also, understanding the mantra, which is kind of what's being asked, right? What is this in English? It's okay to understand that, but it's not entirely necessary of like breaking each thing down. And then having reverence. So when you're chanting it, you're not chanting it haphazardly, or you're not just doing it because someone told you to do it, or you're not doing it by habit stance. You want to do it each chant with reverence, with devotion, which is Ray what? 6 energy. Devoting, reverent, because that makes you conductive and receptive. Another aspect, the energy comes after the chant. So you chant whatever, which opens up the portal, and then in the silence is when the energy is coming. And then when you chant again, you're assimilating it. So a good way of looking at it is when you listen to a spiritual teacher chanting, they chant, you chant right after them. Then they chant again, you chant right after them. So what's happening? As the teacher chants, the energy is coming down. The teacher's opening up the portal for the student, the energy is coming down, right? And then you chant right after the teacher to do what? To suck it in like a sponge. So that's why it's recommended. It's called alternating chanting, but there are other levels of truth. That's a level of truth. The teacher chants, you chant the same right after. Chant again, you chant the same right after. Next question is connected. What Hindu or Indian deities do we need to know for pranic healing? So we have a book that Grandmaster Chogo Koksui wrote many years ago. The book is green, so look, it's affected by the green screen. It's cool. Okay. So this is called The Inner Teachings of Hinduism Revealed. And in this book, Grandmaster Chogo Koksui covers the major deities that we connect with in pranic healing. So that would be Lord Shiva, Mother Lakshmi, Lord Hanuman, Lord Ram, Lord Ganesha. So those are the predominant deities because they have, they're like the big bosses, right? They're like the big bosses that you call upon. And that's a whole other conversation in and of itself. But India is known as the land, and it's been said different ways, but India is known as the land of 3 million, 30 million, or 300 million gods. What does that mean? It means that they recognize the hierarchical structure of spiritual energies. So Lord Ganesha is a very great being on a very high level of energy. And then if you study that teacher and the energy of that teacher, there will be lower beings and lower devas or angels connected to that deity. Does that make sense? So that's why you have the para Brahman, the supreme God or supreme being, and then you have all the different manifestations of that. That's why they call it the land of 300 million gods, which it would be even more than that, right? Because how infinite is the complexity and manifestations of the supreme being, right? It's more than 300 million. So people go, well, that's absurd, 300 million gods. Yeah, little gods, major gods, gigantic gods, everywhere in between, right? Gods with a lowercase g. When you see God in the Bible, it means energy being with a lowercase g. When you see God in the Bible with a lowercase g, it means energy being. When you hear the word or see the word heaven in the Bible, it refers to the energy world. That's why if you ask a Buddhist, how do you get to heaven or what's in heaven, they say, which one? Because it means there's levels and layers of heaven. So Lord Shiva is the teacher of will. creative destruction. So you would chant that to develop your will and to destroy old patterns, old behaviors, old things that no longer serve you. Lord Ganesha's mantra would be removing obstacles. Each of these mantras create certain kinds of energies that have certain properties connected to them. So, funny story, long time ago, a woman who was, I don't think she was a pranic healer, or she might have just taken pranic healing, but she was a clairvoyant, somebody who could see energy. And Master Ko had on his computer screen a certain mantra that was just on his screen. And the woman looked at the screen and she goes, "That's weird." He says, "What?" She goes, "There's red energy that's emanating off of the screen." And he goes, "Huh." And he walks over there and he sees Lakshmi mantra. And what does the Lakshmi mantra primarily emit? Red energy. Interesting. So he goes, just out of curiosity. He switches the mantra on his screen, not telling her what it was. "Now what do you see?" And she says, "Orange." What's that mantra? He says, "Very interesting. That's the Lord Ganesha's mantra." Lord Ganesha is the what? Remover of obstacles. What colored energy has the property of expelling and removing things? Orange. Interesting, right? So just because somebody doesn't know the inner teachings or inner teachings, the forehead chakra knows. And that's what she was looking at, or looking with her forehead chakra. She might not consciously understand what she's seeing, but the forehead, because it gives you access to wisdom, says, yeah, red prana, orange prana. Easy. When other people would have to spend a long time analyzing, is it really producing orange or red? And how do I know? And blah, 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 right? Because they're using lower chakras, which takes more time. Let's see. Lord Hanuman develops receptivity and conductivity. Mantras that deal with devotion. Also, Lord Rama, the mantra of Lord Rama, which is connected. So Lord Rama is the teacher. Lord Hanuman is the disciple. Lakshmi, prosperity, stimulating the lower chakras to get you to make it happen. The Gayatri mantra, the master mantra, is for stimulating your intuitive faculties, your higher mental faculties, illuminating the sun, illuminating your energy with the sun's energy. It's the mantra, it's a salutation to the sun, the god of the sun. It's one of the most powerful mantras known to man. And there's two versions of the Gayatri mantra. Okay. So mantras are fascinating. If you don't understand them and you don't have reverence for them and you don't know how to chant them properly, the effect is minimal. Om, the mantra of Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, compassion and mercy. Lord Buddha Kuan Yin is a Chinese teacher, but are these teachers specific to a geography, to a race? No. They're beings of energy, great beings, reservoirs of energy that we can tap into by knowing their mantra. So again, never forget, great teachers are beyond religion. Great teachers are beyond politics. Great teachers are beyond culture and race and sex. They don't play that game. They've transcended that. Good questions. Next one. What is the order of trainings required to advance in pranic healing? Level 1, basic, level 2. Good. Okay. So in general, pranic healing has 22 classes, roughly. It depends on how you qualify certain things. But in general, there's 22 classes in pranic healing. And the typical route that people take is level 1, which is basic pranic healing, level 2, which is advanced pranic healing, level 3, which is pranic psychotherapy, level 4, which is pranic crystal healing, and then people typically take Arhatic Yoga prep from that point. And then most all classes you can take just with basic pranic healing, right? If you want to take higher classes in general, you have to take basic, advanced, and psychotherapy, or level 1, level 2, and level 3. That will allow you to take most of the other higher classes. If you want to go to an Arhatic Yoga retreat, you have to have attended Arhatic Yoga prep. Most cases is offered 3 times a year. Two of those times is right before the retreat. So a retreat is typically Saturday and Sunday, and they will offer Wednesday and Thursday before the retreat for people that want to make a whole 5 or 6 days out of it, as opposed to traveling twice, right? If they're at a distance. But in general, right now, there are over 1 million pranic healing graduates around the planet, level 1. As for Arhatic yogis, last time I checked, about 50,000 on the planet. That's preparatory. Then you have level 1, Arhatic yoga, level 2, level 3, level 3.2, level 4, 4.2, level 5, 5.2, level 6, I think 6.2, and then 7. That's as high as I know that's available. And there are a handful of level 6s on the planet. The numbers were discussed in Origins of Modern Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga by Grandmaster Choa Koksui. The numbers have slightly changed. So I'm giving you the most up-to-date information that I have. So if you want to take Arhatic prep, level 1, 2, and 3 qualifies you. If you want to go to any retreat, you have to have taken Arhatic Yoga prep. For more advanced retreats, you have to have taken higher levels of Arhatic Yoga. If you want to become a pranic healing instructor, you have to have taken level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, which is crystal, Arhatic Yoga prep, and I believe it's now even level 1, Arhatic Yoga, to be a pranic healing instructor. You cannot be a felon. You cannot be a felon. Pranic healing instructors, someone who is a felon cannot be a pranic healing instructor. Someone who is in prison cannot learn pranic healing. Once they're out of prison, they can learn pranic healing because it's connected to the virtues. Master Choa says a pranic healing instructor cannot have any major character flaws. Having a felon, being a felon, is a major character flaw that most likely will not be completely resolved in this lifetime, and that they start teaching, what happens? They have access to what? More energy, more power, which does what? Fertilizes that ancient seed within them that will negatively affect the student. That's why felons cannot be pranic healing instructors. Next question. How do you know who your higher teacher is, and why is that important? Well, could you have learned your ABCs without a teacher? Ta-da! Well, why is learning your ABCs important? Because it teaches you how to read, which gives you access to the world's knowledge. Could you have learned 1 + 1 = 2 without a teacher? Nope. And that opened up the door to the world of what? Commerce, math, engineering, the sciences, right? So we need a teacher to help us on our path. No teacher, the progress is very, keyword, very slow. Very slow. The reason I started the Inner Transformation membership is because I would have done anything to have this when I started my path 20 years ago. Because trust me when I say this, and I say this with humility because these aren't my teachings, they're Master Choa's teachings. What I'm sharing with you has taken me 17 years to understand and experience, and I'm giving it to you in an hour. Hopefully, clearly. Hopefully, right? This was not easy to acquire because I'm acquiring it. I acquired it theoretically, and then I understood it experientially through practice. right? So that's why we need a teacher. No teacher, your spiritual progress or any progress in any field will be very, very slow. Now, how do you find or identify your spiritual teacher? Seek, and ye shall find. In general, we have guides on our path that point us in the direction towards our spiritual teacher. Because some of us have our spiritual teacher who's still in the physical body. Some of us have our spiritual teacher who left their body. Some people have spiritual teachers who have not taken on a physical body. They are in energy form. But that's for you to do your inner work, purification, and meditation through. The answer's in the heart. I know it sounds trite and I know it sounds simplistic, but that's where the answer is. Your spiritual teacher is in your heart. If you look at, let's see if I can find it. Lord Hanuman is known as the premier disciple. And when asked, where is your teacher? He ripped open his chest to show, this is where my teacher is. So your teacher is in the heart. The access point is through the heart. Well, I don't want to do all that work. Then don't. That's fine. That sounds too difficult. Great. You're right. It's too difficult. Don't do it. I agree with you. As Master would say, fight without fighting. So another way to strengthen your connection to your spiritual teacher is by being of service in any capacity. Because as you're of service and you're in the mission of helping alleviate the suffering of others, your teacher will start presenting himself, herself, or itself to you. Another way is if you know who your teacher is, but you want to strengthen your relationship with your teacher, then you work within the mission of your teacher. So if your teacher says, go out and heal people, you go out and start healing people. If your teacher says, start this charity or foundation, you start that charity or foundation. That's how you strengthen the connection. You are being a what? Instrument of goodwill and the will to do good. Meaning you don't say, Lord God, thank you for showing me my spiritual teacher. And then your spiritual teacher sends you energy, sends you messages, sends you assignments, homework, and you don't do it. Guess what's going to happen? Your spiritual teacher says, this soul is not ready in this lifetime. So next lifetime, or 10 more after that, because your spiritual teacher isn't going anywhere. It's your job to connect to your teacher, not the other way around. Okay. Next question. Ooh, this is a challenging question, which I don't know if I'll be able to answer completely. How many lifetimes do we have? What is the meaning of Om? What is the meaning of Om? Om is known as the seed bija, the seed sound. So Om opens and closes all other mantras. Om Namah Shivaya, Om. Opens, closes. Om, Mani Padme Hum, right? Similar energy, open, closes. So Om is the sound of the universe, continuously moving, continuously destroying, continuously restoring, continuously creating. In a meditation many years ago, I was sitting, I was being still, and I was following my practice. And I heard something. And I go, what is that? And it was unlike anything I'd ever quote unquote heard, because it wasn't audible, right? You guys hear my voice because my voice is audible. You're like, it's coming from the speaker. right? So there's a origin point. So like, oh, it's right here on the side of my laptop, my PC, whatever. When you hear something that's not audible and is everywhere, it's a little interesting. And as I had that experience, talked to my mentor, the benefit of a teacher, talked to my mentor, read a couple books, got understanding, that was the universal Om. That's continuous. Imagine an Om that never ends. And imagine an Om that is on an infinite level of vibration. So there's infinite Ohms eternally playing. What are they doing? They're creating and destroying all the time. God, I hope I answered that properly. Next question. What is the purpose of having... Oh. Did I cover that? Yeah, the purpose of having a spiritual teacher is to properly and rapidly evolve. That was a similar question, actually. Interesting. That's the purpose of having a spiritual teacher, is to properly and rapidly evolve. It's how do I cross the jungle of life in the inner and outer world without falling off a cliff, without getting poison ivy, without stepping into a snake hole. How do I safely traverse this unknown world? And it's funny because Master Choa Koksui says, and I'm paraphrasing the teacher on this, that going through the inner world is infinitely more dangerous and complex than going through a jungle. Imagine going through a jungle, a wild jungle, where you know nothing about the landscape, nothing about the animals, nothing about the foliage and herbs, and you have to survive. So the inner world is infinitely more complex because it's infinite, right? It's infinite. We just have the physical world to deal with, but there's many things happening on many planes simultaneously. So that's what a spiritual teacher helps you with, traversing the inner world. Step here, don't step here. Do this meditation now for this period of time in this way, and then switch in 6 months, and then do this, this, and this. That's what a spiritual teacher is helping you do. That's why Master Choa says, this is so beautiful. That's why Master Choa says, follow simple instructions, because if you cannot follow step 1, step 2, and step 3, how are you going to follow step 117? If you're already changing the recipe and the protocol and the instructions after step 3, how could you possibly advance further? Right? A more complicated mission, as it were. Your spiritual teacher is everything. And also, even if you are not aware of having a spiritual teacher, your spiritual teacher is still guiding you. How's that for next level? Next question. Why is it important to invoke for healing angels? Because their job is to serve. Their job is to love. Their job is to care for. So when we do our invocation at the beginning, we're asking for their energy and their blessings and their protection. When we give the Thanksgiving at the end, we're saying, thank you for the energy, the healing, the protection. Thank you, thank you, thank you, right? We're showing gratitude. It's interesting. This was explained to me in my advanced pranic healing class that in advanced pranic healing, you learn how to use colored energy or colored prana to accelerate the healing rate of 300 to 400% versus just using white prana or white energy. But what if you use the wrong color? Couldn't that be detrimental? In our school, it is not advised to use red energy above the head or above the neck. There are exceptions, but in general, you don't use red energy around the eyes or the brain. So what if you're accidentally doing something with the person's eyes or the brain and you're using red energy? Well, if you invoked and asked for the help from the healing angels, as we've seen and understood, there will be a being that will jump in front of your palm chakra and change the frequency color of the energy so it hits the person properly. Now, if you don't invoke for them, that is an example of what? Negative pride. So then you project the wrong prana because of negative pride. You injure the other person, which is their karma, by the way. You might go, well, that's not fair. It's their karma to be mistreated with energy from their healer. Wait a minute, but that's not taking responsibility. No, we all take responsibility. Can't get away from it. It is our karma. So if the person invokes and unconsciously uses the wrong color, the healing angel will change the color for the benefit of the healer so they don't generate negative karma, and for the benefit of the patient receiving the healing so they can improve their health and well-being. I would forget them before I got there unless it was written down. Know the benefit of knowing who your specific teacher is. You can learn from many, but how does it benefit you to know your specific teacher is? Good question. So you have a teacher that helps you with this, but what about this general teacher? Why do you need to know the general teacher? Good question. Your Sat Guru monitors all of your development. So for instance, when you're in school, you have a history teacher, science teacher, math teacher, English teacher. Who's the one that makes sure you pass all of them? The principal. Right? True or not true? Okay. So each teacher is a guide who specializes in something that is for your overall development. And the person who is overwatching those guides and other teachers is your Sat Guru. That's why. So you have a main energy that guides your entire evolution. And then they introduce certain people, circumstances to go, so-and-so is not learning the lesson of generosity. Okay, who or what do I introduce into their life? Bankruptcy. Okay, that will help them with the lesson of being generous. Right? And neutralize some of their negative karma. Now, the teacher comes from the space of compassion and mercy. Your spiritual teacher, your Sat Guru, comes from the perspective of compassion and mercy. That's why Master Choa Koksui says it is better to learn from the teacher than it is to learn from the lords of karma, because the lords of karma have a very big stick. Bam! But the teacher goes, so you don't get hurt, do this, this, and this. I know of a person who got a phone call from Master Choa about his business investments. And the teacher said, sell 80% of your business investments here and invest it into gold. Right? Not all of his investments, but most of them, and put it into gold. Guess what the student didn't do? Didn't sell his business investments, didn't invest it in gold. Gold at that time went from $250 an ounce to $1,800 an ounce. Guess what also happened to the student? Bankruptcy. So the teacher, in his infinite wisdom, knew the disciple was going to go through what? Pain, sorrow, and suffering. And so the teacher, out of compassion and mercy, said, this will help him. But the selling of his business investments was too much pain and suffering, right? It was less pain and suffering. He didn't learn the lesson. He didn't follow simple instructions. And then what happened? He lost everything, almost everything, not entirely everything, but almost everything. I know this person very well. I know this is a firsthand story. Most of the stories I tell, being in pranic healing for so long, are firsthand stories. So I hope that gives clarity. Why is it important to invoke for healing angels? Because they're there to provide, to protect, and to regulate the prana when it needs to be regulated. If you're projecting too much will, they'll soften the energy. If you're projecting too much energy, they'll reduce it, because they're there to help. Now, again, if you go, I don't need these healing angels, you're setting yourself up for a lot of suffering. And then last question, dun, dun, dun. How can you create more loving energy in your home or office? Does that answer your question? No, it doesn't. What of the 3 rays, remember we talked about the 7 rays in the beginning, of the 3 rays, which ray attracts? 1, 2, or 3? 2, exactly. The ray of love and wisdom. It's pink energy. Pink energy soothes, nurtures, nourishes, heals, permeates, and penetrates. So if you want to magnetize people to you, or you want to radiate love in your environment, you need something that emits pink energy. Ta-da! The bigger the ball and the darker the pink, the stronger the effect. Then you clean the ball. You're so cute. You clean the ball, you consecrate the ball, and you program the ball. Clean it, consecrate it, program it. There was a couple that owned a retail shop. I believe this was in Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. They owned a retail shop and they wanted to attract more foot traffic. So they asked one of the teachers, what do I do? Or what do we do? And he says, buy a big, so that's not a big one, right? One I showed you. Buy a big rose quartz ball and we'll clean it, consecrate it, program it. They followed simple instructions. In 45 days later, their revenue increased by over 30%. Coincidence? Possibly. Time of year? Possibly. Special promotion? Possibly. Right? We have to look at all factors. Why? Because that's my ray. The ray of active intelligence, finding the factor, finding the cause. But that increased their foot traffic because why? It's radiating love and people are drawn to what? Love. So their soul is trying to find the source of that energy. Like, wow, I feel so good. And when I go in this direction, I feel even better. And when I walk down this sidewalk, I feel better and better. What's in here? And you get pulled in. Remember, love magnetizes and attracts things to you. Anger pushes things from you. Make sense? So that is one of the most effective ways I can recommend. Another one is playing the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum in your house or office, or Om Shanti 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 Om. Love energies, peace energies. Wow, I'm getting really good at finishing at exactly the same time. That's pretty amazing. Not even looking at the time. That's what I'm talking about. 1 hour. So so is that why a healer could wear rose quartz on a chain? Correct. Or is that to help protect a healer? It's to soften the healer's energy and to radiate love. So this is from Pranic Crystal Healing class. If a healer is very powerful, let me rephrase that. If a healer is very willful and or they're working on a person who is a special case, an elderly person, a very young person or a person that needs a lot of TLC, like tremendously intense trauma, psychological trauma, then the healer would use this in this hand, the left hand, hold it in the left hand, and then do healing, removing the energy and sending the energy with the right hand. And as they send energy, what's happening? It's coated with a tremendous amount of pink. That's if you are a very willful person in general, or you need to super soften your energy when you do healing. This ball is not programmed for that. I don't use this for healing. It's used for something else. Okay? Because I'm super non-willful, soft and loving. I don't need that. I invoke the angels of love anyways. Hello? Okay, so I hope that helps. Any other questions, comments, concerns before we close? I'm glad you all made it through. Hope I wasn't too boring. Again, practical. Make this information practical. Thanks, Chrissy. Make this information practical. I know it's fascinating. I know it's interesting. I know it gets your mental juices turning, especially Leaf with her engineer family. I know, but how can you apply it? What I just shared with you about the rose quartz ball, how can I apply that today or next week or next month? Otherwise, it's impractical knowledge. It's pointless. Why? All right, you know it. Throat chakra. I went to 4 years of college and I don't remember any of it because you didn't apply it. And you apply and understand. Hello? Not to say that everyone who goes to college doesn't apply what they learned. You get what I'm saying. Okay? So let us close. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Your big, beautiful, bright, pink, radiating heart. Be aware of your crown. Super, super big. I don't know why I got loud all of a sudden. Be aware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui, Lord Mahaguru Jame, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Saraswati, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of knowledge and wisdom, the angels of awareness and understanding, to our divine selves or higher souls. We thank you all for your great, great blessings. Thank you for helping increase our awareness, understanding, and inner transformation through these teachings, these techniques and practices, so that we may be greater instruments of goodwill and the will to do good. And thank you for strengthening our connection to our higher self and to our spiritual teacher, so we may experience greater oneness with God and oneness with all. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. With gratitude, respect, and the deepest of love, we thank you in full faith. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. All right. And an update for the group. Again, we're moving this Sunday transformation to tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. So it'll be recorded as always and uploaded to Facebook and Thinkific as always. But to give you guys a heads up, because pretty much all day tomorrow, which is Mahasamadhi for Grandmaster Choa, when Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui left his body. So that'll be all day tomorrow. So I'll be participating in 3 different lectures. Then the Arhatic Yoga online retreat, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, right? So I don't want to be mixing things and throwing off the flow. So that's why we're going to be doing it tomorrow morning. So for those of you who can make it, love to have you. For those of you who can't, perfectly okay. And we'll load everything up later on in the day. Okay. So I love each and every one of you very, very much. It's going to be, nope. Well, actually, hold on. What did I say? What did I say in the Facebook? I said Sunday link. Whatever I said in Facebook, that's what we're doing. Yeah, that'll be the link. Yeah. And if you're not on, message me and I'll be like, no, it's the other link. Okay. Love you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye bye.